Right guys, so I downloaded the VRC kind of super tourer pack, and this is a throwback to the mid to late 90s British touring cars. So I'm going to drive each of them, and currently we are in what looks to be the equivalent of the Vauxhall Vectra from back in the day. So yeah, again, I'm just going to do a quick 2 laps around Silverstone. I haven't done anything with the cars yet. I've just literally jumped into them, and I just want to kind of see how they feel compared to, let's say, the modern touring cars in RFactor, any of the front wheel drives in IMS2, which, to be honest, do the front wheel drive thing really, really well. No idea what to expect in this, so I do know how a front wheel drive car should handle alright. Like I currently own a Honda Integra DC2, and that has an LSD on the front, a front wheel drive, and it's modified to the point that you could probably classify it as a touring car at this point. It's, you know, upgraded suspension parts and brakes and all sorts of stuff. So I definitely know how a front wheel drive LSD should handle at the limit, to some degree, of course. So let's get stuck into this then, and I'm just going to do like a quick lap or two just to see how it feels. Okay, FFB feels a little bit jerky, so I may just turn down the gain a little bit. The FFB on this is strange. It's like when you turn in, you get that heavy weighted feeling that you typically would with a front wheel drive LSD type car. But then when it like right there where it understeers, it just goes from full weightedness to nothing, if that makes sense. It's definitely strange. I'm trying to figure out what the car's doing underneath me. It's not really clear, to be honest, but the car looks and sounds great, no question. Yeah, it looks really good. Coming into the braking area, it's just so strange. It's like the force feedback is there. I can feel the weight through the wheel, and then it's gone. And then when I'm hitting these curves, I get kind of like a jolt in the FFB, almost as if there's something wrong with the FFB code itself. I get that impression. I could be completely wrong though. Like I'm not a developer of these things at all, so it just doesn't feel right in this car, at least. I'll drive the other ones in a few minutes, but this doesn't feel... it definitely doesn't feel... I don't know, I just can't put my finger on it. Let me just drive a little bit more and try and figure out... try to articulate what I'm feeling exactly. I don't feel I can push the car because I'm not getting the feedback as to what the car's doing. Like, the understeer we get, yeah, the front wheel drive car. But the difference with this is when I get that understeer, it doesn't talk to me the way it does in the likes of Automobilista 2 and those minis, and RFactor 2 and its touring cars as well. And what I'm going to do actually, near the end of this video, I'm going to drive one of the free community mods of these BTCC cars from the late 90s and see how it compares. Now I drove one of those a couple of weeks ago, and I don't recall it feeling like this, but it's been a while, so, you know, in the interest of fairness and stuff, I'll just drive it back to back. Yeah, it's... yeah, this feels a bit odd. Just, let me think for a minute. I'm just going to reduce the force feedback on my steering wheel, because I just feel like the it's difficult to feel what the car is doing. The FFB strength is a bit all over the place. It's almost like there's too much when it's going through corners, and then when you get the understeer effect, it's like there's nothing. Let me just check the LSD setting on the car, if I can find it. To be honest, like, not that it should matter. FFB linearity 80. I'm not touching that. Okay, differential 62%, preload 128 Newton meters. Let me just bring down the coast. Let me just bring them to more. Let's slacken off the diff a little bit, just in case the diff is being overdone. It doesn't feel it though. It just feels not right, to be honest. Let's just do another half lap, and then I'll jump into one of the other VRC cars. Yeah, it just feels disconnected from, and I mean, even that curb hit there, like, I'm getting jolts out of the car, and I don't know again if that's just down to the, you know, I don't know. And even there, this Right, let's have a look at the replay, and I'm not impressed. Like, the model looks great, it sounds pretty good, the interior's pretty good. And I'm delighted to see late 90s touring car replicas in any simulator, whether it's Assetto Corsa or whatever it is. But the driving, what's that? Headlight lights on the bumper there. Anyway, but yeah, like I say, I'm happy to see these touring cars appear in any sim. Looks good. It's a throwback. I mean, I grew up on Formula 1 in the late 90s and BTCC as well. So I'm delighted to see this, right? But the driving physics of this car, it doesn't make any sense to me, to be honest. Going into corners, the force feedback ramps up as you'd expect, particularly with the diff coast and stuff. But as soon as you lose kind of any sort of traction at all, whether that's on brakes, whether it's on throttle, the steering wheel just goes light, and it's the same sort of lightness no matter what the situation is. At least that's how it feels. So in another sim like RFactor 2, for example, right, when the steering goes light, you can sort of feel it coming back or getting worse depending on the inputs you give it. In this, I couldn't really notice that, to be honest. It was like, yeah, it goes light, and how bad is the actual situation? It's a guess, and you know, that wasn't cool. But what we'll do, I'll jump on to the next one, maybe the Ford equivalent, the Mondeo, I think they call it. So we'll jump onto that one next. We'll do the same couple of laps around Silverstone, and see, does that handle any differently? So yeah, let's jump onto that one next. Right guys, so we're in the next car. No prizes for guessing which model this is trying to replicate from the 90s. Yeah, the Mondeo. So let us have a look at the visual mode. So I think we have top camera or not. Display screens. That's got to do with inside of the car. So either the screen is above the steering wheel or it's on the dash. I will just leave it as it is. But yeah, let's get driving. Same test. Okay. Just gonna lower the FFB again just a bit on my steering wheel, just find these a little bit heavy out of the box, but sounds really nice, looks really good on the inside, typical. Whoa. Okay, bit of oversteer there, but It's okay. Okay, we have a little bit of torque steer, which we'd expect. So that bit feels good. Still feels a bit vague in terms of what it's trying to do or what it's trying to tell me. We've broken a bit of front end grip there, and yeah, we have this. I'm not sure if it's understeering or what to oversteer in these situations, so it's still a bit of a guessing game as to what the car is trying to tell me. Yeah, the rear snaps give you no warning, you see. And what I'm finding is that, and this is the problem I had with the one we've just driven a second ago as well. It's like when the steering goes light, it's not clear what is happening, right? Whether it's understeer or oversteer. And yeah, that's just annoying. It's so annoying. I want this to be good. Come on. Bring the brake bias back a tiny bit. See if it makes any sort of difference. That's just... It's just so... So what's happening, right, is the steering is going light, and I don't know if it's light because of understeer or oversteer. That's not being communicated through the wheel. And normally, what would happen is on turning an oversteer, it would go light around the axis of the steering. You'd get a bit more, let's say, pull in either direction. Yeah, like, I mean... Yeah, maybe... Let me just nurse the car around the track, because I certainly can't push it. There's no feeling in the car, unfortunately. Now, look, that being said, this, to my understanding, this pack has only been released a few days ago, so this is obviously version 1. So, I mean, yeah, look, in my personal opinion, of the two cars I've driven so far, both of them need a bit of work. Like, I'll tell you what, screw this. Let us just look at the replay and let's just unpack the thoughts. So yeah, like the other one, the steering goes lighter in understeer moments, oversteer moments. And it's not that the setup was wrong or I can't handle it or anything like that. I mean, I'm okay with a slidey rear or a dull front. That doesn't make any difference to me. My gripe is, and I'm glad I'm doing it this way, because what I want to do is put the car out of control, put the car into situations that it's forced to talk to me through the steering wheel and tell me what's going on. And it's just not doing that. The steering wheel is heavy in corners. I can feel the diff both on power and on coast, as you'd kind of expect, right? But when you then go to let's say push the limit of the front or the rear, the steering wheel gets this almost like universal lightness in your hand with little to no information, like, I mean, not obvious, that's for sure, as to if the front is breaking away or the back is breaking away, and by how much. There's none of that conveyed to you whatsoever. But yeah, let's go and get the next model in the line, which I think is a take on the Accord from back in the day, and see how that goes. I mean, again, not to be dumping on the guys that created this model, I'm delighted to see these touring cars finally getting, a bit of attention in the modding, let's say the modding houses, I guess. But yeah, again, like I say, it's V1 of this mod, so let's see. Surely there'll be updates, because this can't be the finished pack. But yeah, let's stop this one here. I'll jump into the Accord, or the Accord, whatever they call it, in this pack, and yeah, we'll jump back in. Alright guys, so here we are, the last car in the trio to be tested, and yeah, like the other cars, we have these visual mods for the camera up top, and I think there's another few little visual changes that we can make as well, which is really cool. I mean, the models of the cars look great, the sounds are pretty decent. They're not up to the same level as the touring cars like an RFactor or any of the sound packs in, you know, Automobilista 2, for example. But they're good, you know. They sound nice. They're fine. They're really okay. All right, so this is the take on the Accord from the late 90s, so probably around 97, 98, 99, and around that era, when Honda ran the Accord in the Touring Car Championship. One thing that I don't like, and this is just nitpicking now, right, is the mirror having this thing, objects appear closer than they are, blah blah blah. It's a race car, we don't need that crap on the mirrors, and if they were on the mirrors in real life, I'd be shocked and horrified. But again, I don't know, they may have been, but no need to tell a race driver that, I hope. I like the noise of this one actually a bit better than the others, but again, personal preference. So let me just dial the FFB back to 45%, same as the other ones. This one is a little better on first impressions in the FFB department. It's more slightly more gradual in its drop off of grip from understeer to oversteer and that sort of thing. So yeah, let's see how this one goes. Again, on the slide, the oversteer slide there was nothing really telling me that we were drifting sideways, but whatever. Yeah, this is marginally better on the force feedback. I'm not guessing as much, like it's still not very clear to me, right, but it's definitely an improvement on the other two. It does seem to be loading more gradually, and it's communicating that bit better to me, and I don't know why that is. But yeah, with the other two, like I say, there was grip in this, well, not grip, torque in the steering wheel, and then no torque. Like it was like an on-off switch. That's how it felt. Where with this, it doesn't feel as bad, and I can feel a tiny bit when the rear's gonna come. Now, arguably, it's too late. There's no build up to it. Yeah. Yeah, let's do another lap's worth of corners and just see. Yeah, I got a hint of oversteer just on the entry there. I mean, it was vague, but I could feel it. And what I'm doing now, and it's probably wrongly, but I'm being hypersensitive now, like looking for I'm actively trying to feel details now in the steering, as opposed to being obvious to you the way they would be in other sims. I'm actually purposely looking for hints in force feedback changes just to maybe give me a pre-warning as to something going to happen. Don't know what's happening. It's okay, just a random drift. Yeah. It's still not perfect. It's still not perfect at all. Yeah. Yeah, and okay, I mean the cars are obviously set up to be a bit snappy and oversteery and stuff like that, which is fine. But again, it's the vagueness of the force feedback, detail is just, in my opinion, a bit simple, overly simplified. While the car itself feels like it's got a bit of a dynamic to it. Yeah, it just doesn't feel. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those where, again, like the other two cars that went before it, it's like the force feedback being an on-off switch. You've got the loading coming into corners as the grip ramps up, but the second you go above that tyre grip limit, let's say, the drop-off in grip is instantaneous, right? And the drop-off appears to be the same type of drop-off, no matter if it's understeering or oversteering or a four-wheel drift. So, yeah. Now, when it visually starts to snap around, you realise, oh, we're in oversteer, right? So you point the steering where you want it to go, give a full throttle. That's how a front-wheel drive car typically will pull itself out of a slide using a diff. It's like on a front-wheel drive car, how they feel is sometimes, particularly in the lower gears, when you give it a lot of throttle in a low gear where there's a lot of torque going through the LSD. If you're turning to the, let's say, to the right, the steering wheel in a lot of cases will want to keep pulling to the right. It's not like a normal car without an LSD where the steering wheel will constantly want to straighten itself out all the time. In a front-wheel drive car, depending on the amount of torque going through the steering wheel, or going through the driven wheels, will dictate the steering wheel either wanting to straighten out or continuously pull in its same direction. And that's why you often hear of the term torque steer, which is typically you get in the lower gears where the wheel torque is the highest. But anyway, enough waffle about that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one of the free mods that I've downloaded and just maybe compare and contrast. From what I remember, visually these cars might look a bit better, which you'd expect because it's a paid mod, but I'm more concerned about the force feedback. So let's park this here. I'm going to go and get one of the free mods, and yeah, we'll jump back in and see how it compares. Right guys, so here we're back. We have one of the free downloaded mods, and these were pulled off Race Department by myself. There's a couple that go with different seasons, like from 95, 96, all the way through to, well, I think actually the early 90s through to like 99, and this is the Mondeo, driven by High, and then we remember then the model after this, we had Alain Menu the season later after he left Renault, leaving Plato and stuff in the Renault. But anyway, enough about that. So look, visually it's not as pretty as a paid mod, but it's still perfectly fine, and again, I'm more concerned about the driving physics. So yeah, let's go for it. I mean, it's way more dynamic straight away. I mean, just going through one corner there, I can feel the shift in the force feedback. And I can feel the rear threatening to snap as well. Now, the setup on these, from what I recall, is quite tail happy. But yeah, so then we have the loss of grip from the diff just giving up itself. Yeah, I can feel a lot more, and the threat of oversteer and is much more obvious, I think, compared to the other ones. And also, let me just bring the brake bias back a few clicks. But yeah, I'm able to feel when the oversteer is going to happen. I can also feel when the understeer is going to happen. Just everything is a bit more gradual. It's a bit more communicative. It's more dynamic, I guess, in the force feedback area. Just there mid-corner, I could feel the steering get lighter and very obvious that the back was coming round. Yeah, it just conveys, in my opinion, like what the car's doing a little better. And we do have headlights on it as well, which is a nice little touch. Yeah, I could feel the oversteer getting lighter. You get a little clank out of the gear shift as well as the LSD hooks itself back up. Yeah, and you can see, and you might pick this up on camera as well, but when I'm going into corners now, particularly on brakes, I'm reacting a lot faster. And the reason for that is because it's just communicating to me in a clearer way what the car's wanting to do. So, yeah, like for me, this is much more predictable. It's more gradual, it's more dynamic. Yeah, it just drives better, in my opinion. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get one more random card out of one of these older packs. One of these downloads from Race Department. They've been done by the community. And just drive another car, just so it's more fair, I guess. I don't want to just pick one car and say, oh, that was the best. Which I just picked this one randomly, to be honest. But let me go and get one more, just to make sure that I'm being completely as impartial as possible. Alright guys, so we're back in, and I remember back from the Toka game days, I used to love driving the Nissan, and Matt Neal at the time, who I think in 97, 98 was a privateer, before later moving to the Works Nissan team. But yeah, I remember Matt Neal was the guy that I used to watch and really wish to do well when he was racing. Let me just move the seat position back a smidge, pitch down a small bit, and yeah, that's just yeah, it's all good. Right, let's see what this is like. I might just bring the seat up a tiny bit. Yeah, that's okay. Right, let us get into this then. Oh, I can feel way more information, guys. Way more information. It's more gradual. It happens as soon as the car gets upset, and yeah, I'm just able to deal with it better. Yeah, handles the curves quite well as well, like the other ones, to be fair. No real difference there. Yeah, I mean, without stating the obvious, I mean the 3D models of the VRC ones are obviously a lot more time and effort went in, as you'd expect, the fact that it's a paid mod. But you know, from driving the Primera and the Mondeo from the community just a second ago, it does leave you wondering, like, why or how VRC appeared to get the driving physics, like, kind of, I won't say wrong, but they should be better, like, you know. Yeah, and just I'm not going to bother doing a lap or two more, right? But you get the idea, and you can probably see me reacting quick to the steering wheel as we go through those sequence of corners where I'm able to kind of, and I'm sure you can see this as well, that, you know, as the slide is about to happen, the correction is going in. I mean, yes, we're still sliding because I'm taking so much momentum into the corners, right? But you get the idea that the information is being relayed back to me as soon as it happens. What I'm going to do, to be fully fair, I'm going to jump back into one of the VRC cars and do this again, because I'm also aware that I could have been building up to what I want to feel as the test has gone on. So let me jump back into one of the VRC cars and let's just do this again. Right guys, so we're back in the VRC mod. Yeah, I mean, immediately visually it looks better, and yeah, this is the Vectra equivalent, obviously from back in the day. So let me just lower the FFB a smidge, just so it feels like the other ones and it feels more natural, I guess. Okay, let's go. Yeah, I mean, graphically and all, it's a lot better, of course, but yeah, it's still a little bit off. I mean, visually and audio, I mean, it's really good. But yeah, it's a little bit, you know, we're still sometimes guessing as to what the car's doing. And that brings with it its own set of problems, doesn't it? Yeah, there's just not enough information as to how bad the slide is going to be and stuff like that, which is a little bit disappointing. Tell you what, as a bonus, let's do something mad. Let's go into... it's not going to be fair, I don't think, but it will give an overview as to what these cars probably should be like. Front wheel drives, right? Let's go into RFactor 2. And I'm going to take one of the front wheel drive, I know they're modern BTCC cars, right? But when I get one of them, take it to Silverstone and talk about how I give RFactor 2 a bit of crap from time to time, right? But I will say they do the BTCC stuff quite well, and touring cars in general. So let's jump into that and talk about how maybe these cars should feel in an ideal world. So let's pause this here, let's get RFactor 2 up and running, and let's go to Silverstone. Right guys, so here we are in the Vauxhall Astra in RFactor 2. So this was driven by Jason Plato, and yeah, it's official, let's say DLC. So with the headlights and all that stuff, yeah, looks really good. But yeah, let's just do a lap or two around Silverstone, just to see how it compares to the cars we've driven in Assetto Corsa. Yeah, it looks and sounds great, doesn't it? That's got a lap or two in. Does feel a bit slower compared to the ones in Assetto Corsa, I think. I don't know if that's just a, I don't know, motion blur or lack of it in this game compared to, I think I had a bit running in AC. There you can feel the back just gently kicking around. It's much more balanced, much more compliant. Yeah, and I can feel like when the car threatens, it's much more in tune as a driver. Like what you'd expect, you know? Easily you can, you know, when you have the car on the edge, you can feel it gradually wanting to let go, where I think in the Assetto Corsa stuff it was letting go like in a unrelentless kind of way. You can see that in RFactor it's taking the curbs pretty nicely as well, which is cool. And I could feel the steering get lighter there before it snapped. Something that was totally missing in Assetto Corsa. Went in very deep here. Driver error, that one. Yeah, let's round her out with the end of this lap, really. Yeah, it's much more predictable. You can feel the grip kind of come and go in a more gradual way, where in AC it just felt like an on-off switch. It's like you have grip, now you don't. And the in-between bit didn't communicate very well. I can feel that gradually letting go as well. And as soon as I started to gradually let go, I could start putting the inputs into it. Yeah, as you can see, it's just more, it's more communicative. It's giving me like the info I need when I need it, that sort of thing. So yeah, big difference in how the two sims kind of well, not even the two sims, but how the front wheel drive stuff is modelled. In AC, they've gone for like a really tail happy kind of let's say configuration on the car, which is fine. But what was really missing was the detail in the force feedback, and that was the main gripe. Where you could see here, it's still a front wheel drive car, but the detail was a lot better, a lot more gradual. Aside from that, I have to say, I've just noticed like RFactor 2 is getting a bit prettier to look at, isn't it? Yeah, it's definitely improved over the last year, that's for sure. But yeah, we'll leave it there, guys. Yeah, if you're a touring car fan and you've got a Assetto Corsa, yeah, I mean, pick it up. You're not going to be disappointed, I don't think. But that being said, if you have, let's say, RFactor and you want your BTCC fix, then I would be leaning toward RFactor. That being said, though, they are touring cars from different eras, so if you're okay with that, then by all means, it's not an issue. But if you want the older touring cars, then Assetto Corsa is the way to go, probably. I do think RFactor have a couple of mods as well, but I think AC have the mods covered off a lot better. There's a lot more options there. And hopefully, the guys at VRC, when they release a couple of updates or whatever to that touring pack, oh, look at that. Yeah, when they release maybe an update to that touring pack or so, they will, they'll begin to handle better and stuff like that. But yeah, we got airborne here, didn't we? I mean, look at the car. It's yeah, RFactor 2 is getting better graphically, I have to say. Unrelated, by the way. Bounced onto the floor, and it lifts up again with the sparks. Yeah, really cool. Right now, guys, leave it there. Thanks again, as always, for watching, and yeah, plenty of options to get your BTCC fix. Yeah, till the next one.